So welcome back to Romania. This is not your first time here, and for sure it's not going to be the last one.
Hopefully not.
I will start the interview with a small challenge. Are you up for it?
Depends on the challenge.
You're half Romanian already.
That's
From my
true.
perspective and the audience's experience with you, you're half Romanian. Would you like to learn some Romanian?
Sure.
Okay, so sunt Dimitri Vegas
Dimitri Vegas.
și iubesc
Și iubesc
Virgin Radio.
Virgin Radio.
Yes.
Sunt Dimitri Vegas și iubesc Virgin Radio.
Perfect. I'm Dimitri Vegas and I love Virgin Radio.
This
is the idea.
Yeah.
So now back to the interview. What was the first track that made you decide that you're going to become a DJ?
I want to say like somewhere between Jones and Stephenson, the first Rebirth. Robert Armani, Hit Hard,
Oh
something
my
from
God.
that. Those days.
From those days.
I'm that old.
And since we're talking, it's not about the age, you know how it is. It's about the vibe. So
That's what you say when you get older.
then we are in the same boat, man. We are in the same boat. Yeah. Since we are referring to those days, you are one of the top DJs on the planet, and you've managed to shape the EDM phenomenon. This is a statement. Still, when you were young, what did you want to become?
My first dream was to become an actor.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I've always been obsessed by movies, and if you would have asked 10-year-old Dimitri what he wanted to be, the answer would have been 100% an actor. But then I realized that it was a very impossible thing to achieve, so I decided to do a normal job and become a DJ.
Yeah, because this is so normal.
Yes.
Yeah, an international one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. The music scene went through a lot of changes since you've started, and I want to know from your perspective what's going to be the next EDM trend. Make like I don't know, a resolution.
Tricky. I feel like everything is going back a lot. I feel we're all going back to like what people are calling, and then I'm not talking about melodic techno and more the underground stuff, but in general, techno, main stage techno, feels like 90s hardcore, like it's just like it feels, and I just heard Calvin's new track, and it sounds like a 90s, in a respectful way, a 90s Eurodance kind of vibe. And we've also been experimenting a lot with, without not saying like, because there's one thing obviously to go back and sample famous 90s tracks, which obviously has been done in abundance and everybody's doing it anyways, but to actually recapture the sound of the 90s, I feel that like that's coming back a lot. Like early 90s rave, Eurodance, techno, hardcore, so somehow it feels like we're getting a revival of that.
Would you say that we are nostalgic?
I think nostalgia is the most relevant drug in the world, for sure.
Very nice. This is a cool statement.
Yeah, when it comes to movies, when it comes to music, like I think, and I don't want to get overly philosophical over this, but I feel like the way we're evolving as a species and as humanity is that all the stuff we're creating is very short. Look at TikTok. Look at all the series we're binging. Everything has to go really fast. Also, like everybody releases a song every 2 weeks now. Spotify, it peaks. You put it in your playlist. 1 month later, you forget about it. So we live in a generation of very fast consumption. But that means very little stuff sticks. So obviously, the most powerful thing is to go back to the past, because that's the stuff that, we grew up with. Why do people today still remember every Michael Jackson song and nobody knows a Drake song? No disrespect to Drake, but from 4 years ago. The guy's done so many albums. You remember some songs, but still put on any Michael Jackson song, any Queen song, everybody knows them. And that's fucking 40 years ago. It's crazy.
It's crazy, but you were talking about the fast-forward generation, if I may say. and I would like you to go fast forward and to pick only one word, the feeling that you have when you are in front of a crowd.
Energy.
Energy.
Yeah.
That's the one. What's the biggest challenge in your job, since we were talking also about the fact that we are going somehow back to the basics, to the roots?
What do you mean exactly? Sorry.
The biggest challenge of your job?
To keep reinventing yourself. You know, I mean, it's not a challenge. It's not challenge in a negative way, but you know, like it keeps you on your toes. But me and my brother, we've been doing this together for 15 years, and me by myself even longer. But of course, not on a high level. And it's interesting, you know, to like on one side, people want to hear your biggest hits, and you want to bring those biggest hits, but you need to reinvent yourself. You need, you know, in a way, people still want to hear the style that they know you for, but you don't want to play the same music you did 10 years ago. So it's a constant evolution, and that's what makes it interesting.
Do you have like a secret recipe for this kind of things, the reinvention?
No, it's just me and my brother challenging each other. I think it's an important part. Yeah.
There are many speculations about the relationship with your brother. You are bringing this in, so I have to ask.
Is that
Yeah. There are a lot of rumors on the internet that you guys split up for good. Is this only a temporary thing, or are you playing, because you're also playing separately at MASSIF as well?
Yeah, the only reason that I'm playing here now is because Mike is in studio sessions for his solo project. Let's say 95% of our shows we do together. So the only difference is, of course, after 15 years, we both felt like, who are we also outside Dimitri Vegas and like Mike? Like I have a big passion for acting, so I focused a lot on creating movies. I played a couple of parts in a couple of movies. Mike has a big passion for singing, so he did a solo album. He really enjoys underground music, so he really, focused a lot on that. I did a couple of songs by myself. I just think everything we do complements what we are as Dimitri Vegas and like Mike. So it's maybe a little bit confusing sometimes, or in the beginning, because we always used to do everything together, but we just do more.
This is such a good news for all of us,
Yeah,
the fans,
of
you know,
course.
because we are reading this kind of stuff and we are like, dude, no, please. You know?
No. It's I can understand in a way how it could be confusing, but you have to put everything in perspective. You know, like 3 years ago, COVID hit, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what am I if I'm not a DJ, if I'm not touring the world? And we've been doing like tons of different projects, and at a certain point you weren't allowed to be in the same house even. So it's normal that you start experimenting and doing your own stuff, but we still enjoy being on stage together. So it's just an expansion of what we are, not a separation.
Thank you very much for your answer. You were talking about the expansion, so I have to make a confession. I want to start to DJ. And I have to ask you, because you are like the number one that I'm talking with, what's the rule that I should follow or I should break?
To gain what?
To gain the audience, I believe.
It's a tricky one. I think the world has changed a lot. And something I think a lot of artists of our generation and beyond are struggling with, like we live in a TikTok generation. I said it before. Like it's a lot easier to get to be heard and to create content, but it's a lot harder to stand out in the mass of the content that's being created.
In the noise.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a lot of noise.
Yes. So I'd say decide or try to figure out why you feel people should listen to your music and come to your shows, what you think is going to separate yourself from everybody else, and work on that.
Okay. I have to make another confession. I'm opening my morning show at the radio with your track, Tremor.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, sometimes because it's 8 in the morning, it's like a hammer. And I have to ask, when you produced this track, what you were thinking about? What's the feeling that you wanted to
Actually,
get out in
I
the
don't want
world?
to take too much credit because it's actually Mike came up with the melody,
Okay.
and yeah, him and Martin they worked it out. Like I did some of the additional stuff, and to be honest, like I want to give full credit to Mike and to Martin on that one. And
You are mentioning Maten. She is also here at Massive Festival.
no, Martin as in Martin Garrix.
Yeah, okay. So if we
No,
are
my
talking-
wife did not make Tremor.
Okay,
It's-
okay. We cleared this one as well. You were mentioning Martin Garrix, so it's Martin Garrix or Steve Aoki?
What?
Choose from the
So
one you
choose
like them best.
what-
With the one that you like more.
that is a very yeah. I mean, you're making me look bad here. Like I mean, Steve is my I mean Martin also, but like let's say maybe Steve I'm maybe a little bit closer with. Like Steve's like a brother to me. Yeah.
And the last one, since we were talking also about your wife, I want to know what's the last track that you've been stealing from your wife's playlist?
I always pretend I never do. She has this mashup of the new Sam Smith song and Drugs from Amsterdam. And we did a remix of Drugs from Amsterdam. So I heard her play it and I took the break of the mashup and I put it in my remix. So yeah, but every now and then, yeah, I take a song and then I pretend that it's already in my playlist and I tell her not to play it. So yeah.
Thank you very much for being
For my honesty.
Oh yeah, exactly.
This needs to be edited out. Like,
Thank you very much, Dimitri.
Very welcome.
Thank you.